So in this video, I'll be sharing 5 business lessons I learned from Steal Like an Artist. So for those of you who don't know, Steal Like an Artist is basically a creatives book that Austin Kleon wrote. First up, nothing is original. When you're looking at new businesses to create or new business ideas, you usually fall into the gap of saying, okay, no, I'm not gonna do this specific business because it's not original, it's a copy. But that's where I would disagree. There are still so many innovations that you can put into this new business venture that people haven't thought about. And a good example of this would be TikTok. I mean, TikTok changed the whole game and now everything is basically short form video content. Now, Steal Like an Artist says that you should steal from old books, old films, music, anything that gathers your inspiration. Even he says that even you should look at clouds, you should look at the day, you should look at trees, because ultimately nothing is original. It has been done. Everyone has gotten inspiration from one or other person, but they failed to reference them, or that's what Austin Kleon says. Next on the list, fake it until you make it. And this is one of the biggest things that I think applies to, especially when you're a starting off entrepreneur or you're a young entrepreneur, or you're someone who's starting off in any profession. And with the countless number of books that I've read about psychology and self-help type of books, they all speak about that you should have confidence, you should speak up. This is all in a way to convince yourself that you are legit. Even though you know that, listen, I might not be the person for the job, you still need to be confident that you can provide this service, you can be good enough, you are good enough. And ultimately, we all just fake it until we make it. Strangely enough. Next up is quite a cliche type of lesson, which is always be reading. And I find this to be true. But Ali Abdaal says there are 2 ways that he reads. Because he reads something like 100 books a year, which is 2 a week. I mean, that is just insane. Think about that. And he says there's 2 forms of reading. Either exploration or for application. If you're reading for exploration, it's like reading a history book. You're not reading the history book to understand the exact dates, to understand the exact people that were involved. You're reading that book to just get a general overview. So it doesn't make sense for you to spend hours and hours and hours trying to memorize the principles or whatever it may be in that book. But with other books that might be something in self-help or improving something in your business, Alex Hormozy, another guy that I follow that I like his work, he talks about reading 1 book every 6 months. And he says that he focuses on those principles and he tries to apply them. Because otherwise it's the same as watching a YouTube video or watching Netflix or whatever. You don't actually apply it. You just consume it. Next up, something that is very important in this digital age that we live in is sharing your process. And how he defines this is we all have something that we're working on. You might think that this something is not interesting, it might be boring for everyone else, but there might be a select few people in this world that would be interested in that specific thing. If you share a process that you're working on, maybe a new tip that you learn, maybe a new tool or whatever the case may be, someone might find that interesting, someone might find that helpful. Basically, whenever I make a YouTube video, not many people see these videos, but I always ask myself, will it benefit one person? If generally the answer is yes to that, then I decide to make the video. Even though it takes me about 40 hours to make a video, I will still make that video for that specific person because you're sharing your process. Later on, you're going to build up such a body of work that maybe when you want to apply for a certain job, that manager sees, oh, he's got a weekly blog. He knows how to make YouTube videos. He shares entertaining stuff. So it's something that compounds over the long term. I mean, you're not going to see the success of it overnight. It's worth doing because it puts you in a better position, gets you better connections in the world, maybe it gives you some more opportunities, and it teaches you a lot. Lastly, putting constraints on yourself. This sounds a bit weird. Austin Kleon says that having all the money in the world, all the talents in the world, all the ideas in the world, having everything to your advantage just kills creativity. It just stops you from starting. So what I'm getting to is you actually need to put constraints on yourself and find out what the next actionable step is. And this is something I got from Getting Things Done, GTD. Defining your project and finding out what is the next practical step that I can do in this project to get further ahead. And something that I took from this book, which was quite great, was choose what to leave out. Because in this day and age that we live in, there's so many inputs, there's so many things that try and catch our attention, so many people that are looking for that 5 seconds, that 10 seconds, because ultimately time is our most valued asset. One way that I personally like doing it is putting a time constraint on something. I want to learn how to speak Botswana, which is basically this country's native language. And I want to know how to speak this language before the end of April. I'm actually going to be doing a video about it. So putting these constraints on yourself as a businessman or entrepreneur, it actually helps you further your progress, actually forces you to take practical steps. Even it could be accountability. Whatever tool you choose to use, that will suffice. So if you enjoy this video, I'm going to be making a specific playlist for you, like a custom playlist, where I'm going to put in all the entrepreneurial videos that I've made so far, and you can go and watch it at the end of the video. It's going to be right here. See you in the next video. Cheers.